Okay, good evening everyone. Welcome to the West Career event for this evening. I'm so glad that all of you can come for this event. I know all of you busy, but you are taking the time to come for this event, and we really want to appreciate that. So you will learn shortly from our speaker, Lindsey Fisher, how this workshop discover and communicate your personal brand is a good foundation for your career development. Let me share with you about the Lindsey background. Lindsey holds a Master of Science in Counseling, Community Counseling from University of Phoenix, is a nationally certified counselor, and a licensed associate counselor in Arizona. Lindsey has worked at the Apollo Education Group for 3 years as a professional career coach for Western International University students and also alumni. She enjoys helping clients define their interests, identify objectives, create workable plans to achieve them, and develop a professional online presence, as well as supporting and motivating clients as they really embark their career journey and reach their intended goals. Welcome, Lindsey. Also joining us online is Kate Scahill, who will assist us in answering questions that you post online during this presentation. And I want to share with you about Kate's background. Kate is the Director of Career Coaching for the Apollo Education Group and has been with the organization for almost 4 years. Her background as a higher education professional includes over 15 years of experience working at career centers throughout the country, both advising students and managing employer relationships and on-campus recruitment. Kate has a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology and a Master of Arts in Counseling Psychology, and also nationally certified counselor and a distant career counselor. I also would like to acknowledge Dorothea Perry. She's our West Learning Facilitator who is assisting us and assuring that our online presentation goes very smoothly. Thank you, Dorothea. And also, last and not least, Lisa Edison is our Senior Marketing Manager who assists us with all the communication and marketing effort for this event. And I want to thank both Lisa and Dorothea. Without them, we will not be able to do this event. So without further ado, I want to put this moment to Lindsey. So thank you so much, Lindsey.
Thank you, Wei. Good evening, everybody. Like Wei said, I am Lindsey Fisher. I'm one of the career coaches here with West University. I'm doing this for a few years now, but it looks like we're going a little over already. So we will have time at the end for questions, probably about 10 minutes or so. I know online you guys can post your questions, and Kate might be able to answer them as we're going. Otherwise, we'll take a look at those as well towards the end. So when this presentation is done, you should be able to define personal brand. You'll be able to identify the personal characteristics associated with your brand. We'll be able to develop a personal brand statement, learn how to incorporate your brand into your career marketing strategies, and evaluate your online presence and identify steps to enhance it. I will be highlighting some resources in the career guidance system, the West Career Guidance System, that will help you with that, as well as you do have a participation guide that will have some of those items as well. So in today's job hunting environment, the most successful job seekers understand and apply the principles of marketing to demonstrate their value to employers. The concept of personal branding comes from the idea of marketing, which is the act or process of buying or selling in a market. In the job search, the market is the labor market. The buyer is the employer, and the seller and the product is the job seeker. In this context, your personal brand is what makes you distinguishable from other job seekers. When we talk about brands, we are referring to a specific and unique product that stands out among others. In a market where there are so many options, successful brands like Apple, Google, or Coca-Cola, for instance, stand out because they have successfully communicated their value to buyers, and they've delivered on that promise. So, similar to that, your personal brand is about understanding and communicating what is unique and authentic about you. So I'm going to ask some of the people real quick in the room, why do you think it's important to be authentic when creating your brand?
So that you stand out.
so you stand out.
So you don't get caught the lie you have to backtrack on.
Yes. Absolutely. Anybody else?
So people would remember you.
Sure, yeah. So stand out, so you're memorable, and yes, of course, being honest and real. You know, the best brands are real, they're honest, and it's because your personal brand is your unique promise of value. It's the message that you communicate to others regarding who you are and what you're known for. So, what are a few words that come to mind when you think of Google?
Simple.
Okay.
Innovative.
Yeah. Simple, innovative. Anybody else? No? All right. How about Enron?
Scandal.
Scandal. Absolutely. So most likely we're all familiar with Google. In fact, Google is so well known that we've actually transformed their company name into its own verb. You know, we say things like Google it, as though it's a word and not a company name. And many people have heard of Enron, but they might not remember the types of goods and services that the company offers. Instead, they'll probably associate this brand with scandal and dishonesty. For those who aren't aware, Enron was a highly successful energy and commodities company out of Houston, with revenues reaching over $100 billion. They were also named America's most innovative company 6 years in a row, from 95 to 2000. However, in 2001, it was revealed that Enron's financial success was driven by massive accounting fraud that resulted in the company going bankrupt. So being authentic is important because your brand is not about selling a false image. You want to sell the truth of who you are and the value that you offer. If you exaggerate, fabricate, or violate the promise of your brand, like Enron, your brand becomes tarnished or even worthless. So personal branding is an ongoing process, discovering, demonstrating, and communicating your value. It's about taking the time to understand yourself, making sure that your behavior aligns with your values, and communicating your value to others so their perception of you aligns with who you really are. Okay, yeah, sorry. So, why do we need personal branding? Personal branding is a response to the need for differentiation in an increasingly competitive market. The need for differentiation in the labor market is a result of major economic and technological changes that have significantly increased job competition over the years. So I'm going to give a brief history to kind of put these changes into context. So, in this information economy, competition for jobs is now very high. So let's consider the average online job posting. So 1,000 people will view the average online job posting. 200 of those people will start the application process, and 100 will actually finish the process. 75 of those resumes will be screened out by an applicant tracking system or by a recruiter. 25 of those might get screened by a hiring manager. 4 to 6 of those will be interviewed. 1 to 3 of those interviewed might be asked back for a second interview, and only 1 will receive the offer. So how you stand out in today's economy, I jumped ahead of you, is not much different than why products stand out. Because they are high quality, they have strong reputations, and they meet our needs. So when making a significant purchase, it's not uncommon to Google a product, to read user reviews, or to ask the opinions of people we trust. Employers' hiring decisions are very similar to this process. An employer's hiring decision is one of the most important purchases that a manager can make for their company, because recruiting and hiring talent is expensive. Today, employers do not have to rely purely on reviewing a resume. Just like consumers, they can Google you, they can read user reviews, such as recommendations posted on LinkedIn, and they can use social media to conduct a background search in order to get a more comprehensive view of you as a candidate. So in this world of global competition and technology, traditional marketing collateral like resumes, cover letters, and business cards may no longer be sufficient for differentiating and marketing one's personal brand. So for the remainder of the presentation, we are going to discuss the process of discovering and communicating your personal brand. Discovering your brand begins with soul searching and research. We'll explore each of these 5 questions to help you define your personal brand. Who are you? What are your goals? Who is your target market? What is your personal brand statement? And is your product packaged to sell? So, question 1. If you are the product, who are you? A good salesperson knows and believes in a product and its benefits. They can discuss it with others enthusiastically without having to stop to think about what makes it so great or why you should buy it. You need to be able to do the same thing when discovering the product of you. The first step in defining your brand is to discover what characteristics and skills make you unique, and thus stand out in the eyes of employers. On page 1 of the participant guide, there is a list of personal characteristics. After selecting 10 of these, you might want to ask a friend or someone else who knows you well to fill one out as well, or to fill it out for you too. Have them select 10. That way you can compare your results. Do they match? If not, then what do you want more others to see of you to ensure that their perception of you aligns with how you want to be perceived? What can you do to make what they see and what you want them to see align? Another important element of your brand are the skills that you possess. And on page 2 of the participant guide, you'll have the opportunity to write down your skills. You've developed many skills in your experience, your education, and your training. So here's a place where you can put those down. Skills are often categorized as hard or soft skills. Hard skills are specific and teachable abilities. They're the technologies that we use, the work activities that you perform, or specific knowledge you possess, perhaps like Microsoft Office, financial reporting, or medical terminology, for example. Soft skills are subjective and difficult to prove. They're often associated with our personal characteristics. Phrases like motivated team player, strong communicator, and dependable are all examples of soft skills because they're subjective and difficult to prove. It's important to strike a balance between hard and soft skills on your resume and to provide specific evidence, especially of your soft skills, in your marketing collateral, such as your resume and your cover letter. Otherwise, they're just claims with no real evidence to support them. So what are your goals? Clearly defined goals down to their finest details are essential for your success. Every respected brand has very specific goals or a mission statement. These goals will help shape your career brand and give it a clear focus and sense of purpose. Having clear goals has additional benefits. If you're passionate about your goals and they're important to you, then you're more likely to persist even in the face of obstacles. However, if you're uncertain about what you want to do and why, then you are more likely to give up when you face a challenge. As we all know, the job search is a journey of successes and rejections. For this reason, you must have clear goals before you can create an effective brand. In the participant guide, you will have an opportunity to define your goals by answering the questions provided. There's also additional work on setting your goals in the Career Exploration tool in Milestone 1 on the West Career Guidance System. So when it comes to identifying your target market, you need to do your research. Make a study of the companies you're interested in, the culture you want to become a part of or are already a part of as in-depth as possible. Visit the place where you hope to work. Read any relevant literature. Research the management and the interviewer. Reach out within your professional network and try and talk to someone in the company or in the field. Or review annual reports and quarterly updates. The bottom line is that the more that you research your target market, the more you'll be able to learn about the industry, the companies, and potential positions. And this helps you understand your fit within a certain career field. On page 3 of the participant guide, you'll have an opportunity to answer some questions that will help you identify your target market. Recommended resources for conducting that research are also included. So many people find it hard to talk about their own strengths in a confident way without bragging. It helps to prepare a personal brand statement for this. A personal brand statement is a statement that highlights your strengths and accomplishments and sums up your own personal career brand. Your personal career brand needs to be truthful and accurate, with no exaggeration. It should focus on a critical benefit to the employer or a void that you can fill. And it should include a unique and compelling feature that is authentic to you. So when brainstorming about your personal brand statement, look at your unique values and key attributes, and you should be able to develop 1 to 2 sentence personal brand statement by considering the following questions. In a nutshell, who are you professionally? So for instance, maybe a project manager or an aspiring healthcare professional, customer service professional. What value or benefit do you provide? Can you complete large projects on time and under budget? Can you deliver quality patient care? Do you resolve customer issues in a fast-paced, high-volume operation? 3, what are some of your unique attributes or skills? So what are you known for at work? What are you especially skilled at? Do you have any special certifications or credentials? And do you have any relevant industry experience, which would support your current career objectives, and if so, in what industry? So here's an example of a personal brand statement. Nationally certified counselor in the Phoenix metropolitan area, specializing in coaching university students to market their strengths to employers, differentiate themselves from the competition, and successfully transition into new career opportunities. In this example, did you hear information that informs you of the person's role? And what tells you what they do? And who do they do it for? Did you notice any distinguishable characteristics or skills? This brand statement demonstrates some key features of a personal brand statement. On page 4 of your workshop participation guide, there is a worksheet to help you with your own brand statement. Marketing. Marketing promotion is about using persuasive communications in presenting and describing your brand to a specific market. You have many tools at your disposal to market your brand. Now that you have considered your personal characteristics, your goals, your target market, and your personal brand statement, it's time to review all the ways in which you can market your brand. For job seekers, your brand can be communicated through your resume, cover letter, your personal appearance, the interview, your elevator pitch, and your online presence. Think of all of these marketing channels as pieces in your personal brand pie. With so many ways to market your brand, it becomes crucial to make sure you're sending a consistent message in all pieces. When you update one of these promotion tools, make sure you update the others to match. Resume. Your resume is your personal advertisement intended to persuade the employer to contact you for an interview. It is not a summary of everything you have ever done. Research suggests that recruiters spend an average of 6 seconds reviewing a resume before deciding whether to keep it or discard it. From the moment one begins reading your resume, it should persuade employers to buy what you're selling. Therefore, your summary is where you must incorporate your personal brand statement to inform the reader of your unique value. A summary explains your overarching brand points, what kind of professional you are, your industry experience, years of service, the core competencies you possess, and any unique brand attributes about how you work. Also keep in mind that you must support your claims with evidence. While your summary provides the overview of your unique promise, you must support with evidence in your experience section. Otherwise, your brand will be nothing more than pretty packaging with no substance. This is why it's important to include accomplishments and results in your resume. Show employers not only what you do, but how well you do it. Milestone 3 in the West Career Guidance System has a resume builder and additional resources on resumes that you guys can also use. So the following are some basic guidelines to writing a cover letter that promotes your brand and grabs the reader's attention. However, it is critical that each cover letter be unique and specific to both you and the employer, not one that any applicant could have written to any employer. In a basic 3-paragraph cover letter, communicating your brand would primarily fall under paragraph 2. So the 3-paragraph structure Paragraph 1 provides your frame of reference. Purpose for contact. This includes what position you're applying for, why you're contacting, how you heard about the position. Show them that you know them. So relate yourself to the company, showing that you've done your homework on the company and you know what they're looking for. The second paragraph is your qualifications and accomplishments. So here's where you can provide more detail about your strengths and benefits that you offer, along with relevant qualifications and accomplishments. Make sure that everything you put in a cover letter and a resume is relevant to what the employer is looking for. And the best place to find that information is in the job posting. They are telling you what they're looking for, taking that and using it kind of as a checklist. What is it that you do? Find something specific and relate to them why you're the best fit for that position. Paragraph 3 is your call to action. Ask for the job interview in this paragraph. Let the employer know that you're going to follow up in a certain amount of time. Don't forget to proofread before you send your letter and follow up like you said you would. So milestone 6 in the Career Guidance Center has additional resources on cover letters. So when we think about the appeal of the brand, it's important to consider the packaging. If you were to put your home on the market, you would probably clean up the landscaping, maybe put a fresh coat of paint on. You'd increase its curb appeal and make it more attractive to potential buyers. In the world of work, your personal appearance is your professional curb appeal. Whether you're just entering the workforce or returning to work, it is important to make sure your wardrobe reflects your professional image. The workshop participation guide has a bunch of tips for both men and women and some that apply to everybody. There's also a milestone in the career guidance system, milestone 4.5, that has additional tips and videos on how to dress professionally. Interview. So an interview, over the phone or in person, is another chance to promote your brand. You can never know exactly what the interviewer is going to ask or screen for, but you can anticipate what this might be based on your research of the company, the position, and understanding how your brand aligns with the company's needs. When you're preparing for an interview, you should be able to answer the 3 whys. Why this industry? Why this company? And why this position? From your research, you should be able to identify the core competencies and personal attributes required for the job so that you can prepare to demonstrate your value. Page 6 in the participant guide has interview tips. There's also a workshop on interviewing that we're going to be having, and on milestone 7.4 of the career guidance system has additional resources on interviewing. So there are many situations, such as job fairs, networking functions, or social gatherings, where you'll be able to promote your brand and what career experts refer to as an elevator pitch. For those of you that are not familiar with it, the elevator pitch is based on the idea that you meet someone on an elevator that you want to speak with and have 15 to 30 seconds to make your introduction. It can be thought of as a version of your personal brand statement that is tailored to your audience and stated in a natural and conversational tone. So using the brand statement we had before, national and certified counselor in the Phoenix metropolitan area, specializing in coaching university students of all ages and backgrounds to market their strengths to employers, differentiate themselves, and successfully transition to new career opportunities. This personal brand statement sounds awkward in conversation. As an elevator pitch, it would have to be transformed in a more natural and conversational tone. For example, when someone asks, "What do?" you could transform that personal brand statement into something like, "I'm a nationally certified counselor specializing in career coaching, and I help university students make successful transitions into new career opportunities." To learn more about how to structure your elevator pitch, you can go to milestone 4.2, elevator pitch, in the West Career Guidance System. So developing an elevator pitch will allow you to easily introduce yourself in professional situations. For example, when someone asks, "What do?" you can transform your personal brand statement to suit the situation. Your pitch should be brief, conversational, and professional. Keep in mind it is a two-way street, So don't just talk at the person without expressing interest in their work. The main points of the pitch relate to your education and career goals. Focus on the elements that align with your audience. In some situations, you may choose to highlight your education over your work experience or vice versa. This is also an excellent way to answer the question, tell me a little bit about yourself, at the beginning of an interview. Depending on the situation, you may have more time to discuss specifics of your degree program, the other topics that relate to your career plans. Keep it safe, sports, weather, etc. Keep it conversational. This might also be where you get to throw in maybe academic courses that perhaps aren't in your work history, but touch on an area that you know the new employer needs. So here's an example of an elevator pitch. So our student, Jill, can start with her degree and target her career goal based on who she's speaking with. She also ends her pitch with a relevant question. Hi, I'm working on my MBA and I'm planning on transitioning into the finance field. My background is in retail management and I'm ready to leverage my education and experience towards an analyst position. I'm very interested in your firm and saw you had several openings. Can you tell me more about your ideal candidate? Here's another one. This is Joe, who's just starting out, so his goals may be more general, which is okay in an elevator pitch. The goal is to still be brief and professional, and to find a way to build your network and learn about opportunities. I'm a current West student working towards my bachelor in behavioral science. I was excited to see that you would be here at this fair, and as I am really interested in starting my career at an organization such as yours. I have excellent customer service skills, and I think I'd be a great fit for your team. In your participant guide, beginning on page 9, there are resources to assist you in developing your own elevator pitch. The last piece of the pie is to evaluate your online presence. It is essential to manage your online presence to make sure it's consistent with your personal brand. Employers may search for you to ensure you're honestly representing yourself. The first thing you should do is Google your name. Next, ask yourself the following questions. What shows up in the results? How would you want to be known? Do the results align with how you want to be known? It is important that your results are professional and support your brand. So here are some tips on what makes a professional versus unprofessional online presence. Remember that anything you post, whether it's photos, comments, status updates, blogs, or articles, reflects your online presence. If you do not want a potential employer to see it, don't post it. And there are some examples of professional versus unprofessional online presence. Oh. To effectively evaluate your online brand, you can check out the Online ID Calculator, and that is a tool designed to help users evaluate the current state of their online presence. The tool is free. It's offered by Reach Personal Branding, which is a personal branding consulting firm. So the Online ID Calculator will ask you some specific questions about your results to determine how much content shows up, which is volume, and how consistent that content is with your personal brand, which is your relevance. From the results, you can determine which of these 5 best profiles best describes the current state of your online presence. You guys see that? So digitally disguised, way out here. Okay. When you fall into the digitally disguised category, it means that you're completely off the grid. You're basically invisible on the web. This isn't necessarily a bad thing because that means you can create your online presence from scratch. And you can make sure that the information you publish will support how you want to be perceived. For instance, if you have a common name and the Google search results are all about other people with the same name, you will want to start thinking about how you can differentiate yourself. One example would be to incorporate a middle initial and to brand yourself consistently in this way across all of your social profiles. Another strategy would be simply create more content on the web by creating a LinkedIn profile or creating an online portfolio. So digitally dissed here low volume, low relevant. This is the profile you fall in when there is very little information about you on the web, but that information is either unflattering or inconsistent with how you wish to be perceived. For example, if a picture of you drinking at a party shows up in a Google search, even though there is only one picture, this sort of image can be harmful to your brand. The best strategy for folks in this category is to create more positive content in order to bury the negative content so that it's not so visible. Digitally disastrous is the worst profile because this means that there's a lot of information about you on the web and that information is negative or irrelevant to supporting your brand. For individuals in this category, it is going to require a lot of work to repair your online presence. You will need to be very active in producing positive content so that the negative stuff gets buried. This may entail starting a personal website, or publishing a professional blog, starting a Twitter account, and sharing professional advice or articles that are relevant to your professional interests. The more content you create that is associated with your professional image, the more likely it is that this is the content that will show up and not the negative stuff. So digitally dabbling. For individuals that fall in this digital dabbling profile, it means there's very little information on the web, but that information is considered to be on brand and supports the image you want to convey. If this is the category you fall into, it means you have a really solid foundation for launching your personal brand, but you probably need to get more active in order to make your presence more visible. And then there's digitally distinct. The digitally distinct category means that there is a lot of information about you on the web, and it all supports your unique promise of value. This is the ideal situation because not only is there lots of information, but it's all very flattering and supports your personal brand. So once you've defined your personal career brand, it's time to make a plan to launch and maintain that brand. Now that you've developed your promotional tools, your resume, cover letters, an online profile, consider how to get that information to your target audience. How will you advertise your brand? Advertising could include building your own website, email, word of mouth for people in your professional network, conducting informational interviews with people in your desired field or company, letters, etc. Any or all of these advertising methods, use any or all of these to bring yourself to the attention of your target audience. Additionally, you can take charge of your career by staying committed to building your brand. Here are some suggestions to stay on track. Once a month, check up on your network and make sure you do something that adds value. Write an unsolicited LinkedIn endorsement for a colleague, share an article, or simply say hello and ask how people are doing. You can revise your resume at least annually, but consider doing this quarterly. At least once a year, schedule something new, a workshop, a class, take on a new project, something like that. And at least once a year, step back and ask yourself the brand strategy questions to make sure you're still on the right track. Many individuals stop making the effort to build their brand once they've achieved a career milestone. Unfortunately, this approach causes individuals to do nothing about their career development until they absolutely need to. They may dust off the resume when it's time to apply for a job, but never consider updating their skills or continuing to build and maintain their network before a need or a crisis arises. In today's economy, individuals must engage in continuous learning and constantly build their personal brand to stay prepared for unexpected career changes, as well as career advancement opportunities. Last, I want to make sure that you know about the additional resources that may be helpful. West Career Services provides many helpful tools and resources for your job search. You can log into my.west.edu as a student or the west.edu/alumni account and visit the career resources or career tools pages to see all the resources available to you. There's also more about creating your brand on Milestone 4 Professional Image. Question?
Is it possible to have that presentation emailed to us?
Yeah.
Great, that was an awesome presentation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And
Also for the alumni, that link, the one that Lindsey shared, is a kind of typical you put the alumni, like, I know some of you alumni here.
Right.
You can just put that one and show the guidance, the one that is shared like in the 4.2, whatever that one is, they sit there.
Oh.
So it's there too. And obviously for the students, so yeah.
Any other questions? Concerns, comments, criticisms?
I have a question
Yes.
with regards to when you were saying about when people search for your name and all that. So if I have a Chinese name, that is what I use for work, but people know me as Elizabeth all these years. So when I apply for a job, do I put as Lian Cheng Lo and then bracket Elizabeth Lo?
Is Elizabeth, I mean, is that a legal name or your Chinese name is
No,
legal?
the Chinese name was the legal name, but Elizabeth was because I'm Catholic and I was baptized, and that's why.
Okay.
I kept it as my Chinese name.
You can put, like, I apologize, tell me your name.
Oh, it's Lian Cheng Lo. That's
So you could,
that's officially in the system, in every system.
okay, so that's the one that's going to come up whenever you're doing your paperwork and things like that. So you can put Elizabeth, especially because you're going to want probably the
Right, because
interviewer
I
to ask,
think
to call you by that as
yeah,
well.
they would have called my managers. They would all say they know my Chinese name only when they're giving me reviews. But when they talk to me, they will call me by my English name.
Okay, so yeah, they call up and say Elizabeth Lowe in there. I don't,
Yeah.
okay. You can actually put like Elizabeth in
parentheses, can't you do that?
You could, or if that's what you're going by, I mean, we can put, like, if you have a shorter name or you shorten your name, you can put that on your
Like a
resume.
nickname?
You just want to make sure they're both on there.
Okay.
So if you go by Elizabeth, you put Elizabeth first and then put the rest of it in there. Yes, you can bracket it in parentheses if you want to make sure that they know your first name. You go by Elizabeth and your last name. It's a matter of preference. But obviously you want them both out there. Because the other thing is when it comes to Googling you, people might have you listed as Elizabeth out there. So you want them to search for you in both ways. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Kate, does that sound right? Yes.
You know how, well, I've heard it said that when you apply for, each time you apply for a different position, you should tweak your resume to reflect that position. So, and typically, well, let me just ask this question. So, should your personal brand statement, should you be tweaking your personal brand statement to align with the job, each job that you apply for?
So if you're going to put multiple resumes in the same field, your personal brand statement can stay pretty similar. If, maybe you have two different fields of interest and you're kind of just throwing some feelers out for both. In the two different fields, obviously it's going to be different because you're going to be showing different accomplishments that relate to that field or different skills that you might have that pertain to one versus the other. Even with resumes, most of the time, like say you're doing one in finance and then you're also considering customer service. You might have many of the same points, but you're going to think about moving your bullet points around in so much as rewriting your resume each time. So you're going to bring up the ones that are more related to finance on your finance resume and the ones that are more related to customer service on your customer service resume. But your personal brand statement, you're probably still going to touch on some of that in both cases. Mostly it's going to have to do with how varied the different fields are. So if everything you're looking for is in the same field, your personal brand statement is going to stay pretty similar. Because that's kind of what you're wanting to put out there. When somebody else goes, oh, do you know her? And they're going to list off the same things that you're promoting yourself as.
Right.
So you don't want to change them drastically each time. Kind of like your mission statement. You want people to know that about you.
And if it's too drastic, then maybe, you need to, maybe you're being a little too schizophrenic. On
Yeah.
the brand.
And that's the part about knowing your audience. What you might say to a colleague is a little bit different than, the last time you ran into an aunt at a family function. What are you doing now? But that being said, there's certain key points that you're probably going to always point out about yourself. You know, obviously things like education or maybe your most recent work experience. If you have a certain skill or a commendation that you've received, you're probably going to always throw that in there. It's really the tone that might change a little bit depending on the field. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Lindsay, we had a comment from online that I think is good to share. Kathleen said, can your personal brand statement be used as your LinkedIn summary? And Kate said, absolutely. It's a good idea.
Yes. Good question, Kathleen. Yes, absolutely. That's a great place to actually put your branding statement out there for people to see, is that your LinkedIn summary. Because you have the extra space, if you wanted to add a little bit more than you might say in your 1 to 2 sentences, you certainly can. But yeah, it's a great summary for your LinkedIn profile. I also want that as a summary starting on your resume. Again, it's that being consistent across all of the pieces of your pie.
What do you think is more relevant, the details of your experience or your accomplishments?
Depends. Mostly, you want your resume to be accomplishment oriented. Okay. Your average recruiter or HR person they're going to know what you do based on your position title. So looking, so you're a counselor. I have a pretty good idea what a counselor is, but what did I do in that job? So that's what I'm saying. I work with X number of students. These are the accommodations that I got from either clients or from higher ups. So your resume is mostly going to be, you're going to give them an idea of what you did, but you're doing it in accomplishment-oriented language. So how you did the job. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So, like I said, the title gives them a pretty good idea. So tell me how you did that job. How many people did you work with? What kind of skills did you use when you worked with people? How did you do that better than somebody else that sat, at a desk next to you? That's what they need.
That's really true in accounting, because that's my basic function as an accountant. Everybody knows what an accountant does.
Or
So
think they
what
do.
I had to do with my resume is put in dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. $300 million company. NASDAQ listed, those kind of things. That was just not like, oh, I didn't just process journal entries.
Right.
I had to build it up that way. That
And
made a difference for me.
That also helps because sometimes people think they know what an accountant does, and maybe they really don't. Like we have this vision of, a stereotypical CPA, and
A
that's
little
not necessarily
calculator.
right. A little ledger.
Pins in our ears.
In fact, my mom's an accountant. In fact, I remember the first time I went, how do you work with numbers all day? She goes, I work with some numbers, but I work with law. I work with, I work with company guidelines. I have to work with it. So there's so many other things that also go along with these numbers. So if I'm an HR person that doesn't know what an accountant does, you're right. If you tell me, if you can quantify how many numbers or dollars did you work with, or what did you save the company in budget, or how many employees did you supervise, It's different if you supervise 2 employees versus 30 employees, so tell me that, especially if you're looking at a job doing something like that, so I know if you have the skill or not.
So pretty much my entire career has been focused on finance. But I'm so much more than just finance. So like you said, there's a lot of law involved, there's a lot of people management involved, that type of stuff. For somebody that's trying to transition, what do you recommend? Especially if
Transition.
I don't want to be known as this finance person. I want to be known as, so my passion is people. And so how do you transition from this stereotypical, stereotype of you're just a numbers person focused on just one specific task, now to be known as, this people?
So therein would be where your specific bullet points come in. So, you might mention that you're responsible for X number budget, whatever, so they know the numbers of what you did. But then, focusing on how you're the point of contact for X number of employees. You also probably sit in on meetings and budget and all that, but other meetings, you're responsible for part of the day-to-day where you are, so you can put that in there, part of the day-to-day operations. Making sure that you don't focus on the daily tasks but more, how is it that you're known for? If everyone in your office knows they can go to you for X, that can go in your resume. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And without having specifics from your job, but yeah. So
You've
so
never
you
been
can
part of a
outline
team,
what you
like a
did.
conversion team or anything like that.
Yeah.
Those.
I have a project management background as well. I have a Six Sigma certification, so I do best practices and stuff like that. So I know how to build teams and bridge those gaps. I think that's what I would do.
That's why I have a lot of conversion team membership in mind.
Yeah.
So another question was online by Karen. She was asking for some resources for updating the LinkedIn profile. So when you get the link from Wave of this presentation, you'll see those URLs in the chat pod, and so you can copy and paste those and go and get that information.
And also, once you've reworked, your resume, things like that, or if you work on your personal brand, and you can request to speak with a career coach by phone. So we can go over that with you, help you develop it more, how make sure you're being consistent across all. We can look at LinkedIn profiles, and those things for you guys as well. We're here for all of that. If it's anything related to career, we'll take care of it. Any other questions? Sure, there weren't any on that.
Lindsey, you kept making references to career guidance, and so I don't know, we might have some people that aren't West, so they might not know the career guidance system, and we currently don't have a platform for those that are external to West to get that information. So how could they go about getting some of the branding resources and information that you shared?
Good question.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Want me to take that one, Lindsay?
Without having access to the West site, other than the participation guide or like the online ID, because that's not something that we do. How come?
It's a good question, actually, and then at this point, we don't have it yet, the one that not belong to West yet. We're working on it very soon, and when we're going to maybe prospect student, kind of, it's not, I know, prospect student, but I think we're talking about community, we don't have it yet. But for the West student and alumni, definitely this is available. It's a good question. At this point, we just have it linked up to the PowerPoint presentation one that Lindsay shared, and also this one. Performances, and we don't have this one for the outside the West. But it is the one that this one actually really good thing. This one again, people here at the alumni student, we do not well if this is resources, but I don't have it there for us, But
But I have a question on that, because is that collaboration between West and UP?
I'm sorry?
Is that collaboration between West and UP?
Yeah, are you
Because we are-
University of
Yes.
Phoenix?
Yeah.
We have career
Yeah.
guidance in University of Phoenix as well.
Yeah, if you
Is that
if you graduate from your field, this one
Yeah.
is and then Elizabeth, you graduated from West,
Yeah.
and then you have the access as alumni. Yes.
So like a connection.
Yeah.
That's part of your network.
Yeah, that's our brother. You know, come
Yeah.
Yeah, no, University of Phoenix also has a career guidance system, and the milestones, I believe, they're not very exact, they're very similar.
But I want to share with you, when I see this link from the West, I know that you are, so I really encourage you to really go to the link, and just really awesome, like thanks back on this key, really guidance and all this thing. The one that you mentioned earlier, this one, is a lot of resources. They show you how to do the networking, how to do the LinkedIn, and even the promotion within your organization, not only just looking for a job. And then if you want to move to a different state, you look up the title, not Google, just put that one job title you want to go to the state, they give you all the job search, and also give it to you to send it to you. It's really, really good resources for us. And for student average, I really encourage you to check it out and then to see. And it's really good.
So if I haven't been to the site in a long time, I don't remember my password. Who do I contact?
Yeah. I will email you again, like all the
Okay.
information and how to do this one, like how to log into the West Alumni site. And then there's all the reset password and everything. Now it's email it to you.
Okay, thank you.
But this is really good, like, and then you can log in and just go to the site.
Yeah. My LinkedIn is set right now.
Although my LinkedIn is how I got my job.
Oh, wow.
Because somebody on LinkedIn, I let him know that I was interested, and she contacted me, and they had a position open. It
That's
works.
what
I was
happens.
kind of
Actually
surprised.
works.
To be
Wow.
honest,
Okay.
I didn't think it did. but
And
it
also,
worked.
this is good, for example, the duck is saying, yeah, right? And somebody duck looking for something too, and this is always an elementary student, for example. So I can do this, it's really good for duck, for example, looking for the, like last time you showed me, reading emphasis for the student or something like that, or you can also tell to look at this one and see.
You know, and LinkedIn can also be a good place to make connections. So say, like you say, you have a passion for, a certain community or a certain group that you're kind of interested in. You don't really know if you're ready to make a career change in that direction. You can join groups, start participating in conversations. You can build your network that way. Looking for your local organizations, for your professional organization. So if you're in law or in finance, are you a member of your local professional organization? If you're not, finding them through LinkedIn is one way to do so. Going in person is the best way to network, but if that's not possible, you can make those connections online. Really making sure that, I know that it says checking every year or so, but I suggest that people, once you start working LinkedIn, make sure you sit 20, even if it's 20 minutes aside every week, and just get in there. Post an article, repost an article someone else posted, put something into, a group conversation. If somebody has some sort of work anniversary coming up, say congratulations. Make yourself active on there, like if you're a tenth of active on there as we are on some of the other social media sites. But that's really building that positive content.
So in regard, you said that we should be consistent across the board with all of our social networking. So I was always told that LinkedIn was more professional and then Facebook is more social. I don't really post to either one of them. I'm relatively private, but you said earlier that you should kind of send or convey the same message. So the people that might have a more social Facebook page, where they're posting more and stuff like that, what do you recommend from a career perspective?
Make it private. Yeah. Only because really what you want to, all across all your social media and also just across all the media, like your resume and your LinkedIn profile and your cover letter, you want to be giving the same consistent message. As far as things like Facebook, yes, you can be found that way, so I highly recommend making it private just because, unless you have your privacy settings set really high, you might have nothing but professional things on there, but somebody else might tag you in something that's not. Whereas, yes, LinkedIn is more professional. Getting in and being active, you don't have to give away personal information to be active on LinkedIn. Maybe you run across an article on, I think some post that's interesting, it has something to do with the field, post it on LinkedIn. Just things like that is what's building that content. Congratulations, I see you've got 5 years, things like that. Those aren't giving away anything personal while still being active. The other nice thing is when you're, in groups and you see what's going on in the field right now, and especially if you're interested in changing directions, what's going on in that field right now, not the theory and things like that you're going to learn in school, which obviously you need, but what is the field concerned with? What are they focused on? What are the changes that are going on? Is there something new coming through the pipes that not everyone? This is where you're finding up to date what's going on right now. So you can be very active without giving personal information.
I have another question on LinkedIn. How many years do you put your professional work? Let's say you work more than 20 years. Do you put when I went to ASU, I think some people were saying no more than 20 years, more than 15, because you don't want them to know your age. I don't know how true that is.
While it shouldn't matter, it does. If you have something from, and it also has to do with what's relevant. So, the last 12 years of your work experience is relevant to where you're going now. And maybe before that it was a completely different field or it was just kind of the day-to-day stuff. You don't have to include it if it's not relevant. You know, maybe there was something from 15 years that's relevant, and then like the next 6 years weren't. You can always, you know, create another other relevant experience section. You don't have to put the dates. You just put that you have the, you know, where you did it and what you did. So you're putting the information out there without specifically saying it was from, you know, 85 to 90, you know, if you don't want that out there. So it shouldn't matter, but it does. So there's ways to protect yourself. Okay. 2 minutes. I don't think we have any other questions there. Anybody else? Questions, concerns?
I just wanted to make a comment when you talked about, I had never, I'm in the baby boomer generation, I had never thought about Googling my name and what that meant. My children are millennials, so when I Googled my name, I was so surprised at the stuff that came up associated with my name. And it was really scary. It was very scary.
Yes. And that's another point. You make a good point. So maybe you're not doing much, but you're in some way connected to someone else. And maybe they're very active.
Yes.
You know, so you need to be aware of what's attached to your name.
Yes.
Well,
It goes
you know, you can, so if you're on Facebook or something, you can untag yourself. That is an option. The image is still out there, but your name might not necessarily be connected with it. And that's why we say, like, you know, even if you have a lot of content out there, maybe it's a lot of negative content, that's when you start proactive. You start creating more positive content. And because the most recent stuff is what's going to pop up, you know. And maybe you do need to start a professional blog and start, you know, to really get your name out there associated with something else. But, you know, there is ways that come back from it. The other thing is you want to make sure there's not incorrect information out there. You know, or maybe somebody with your same name has a whole lot of stuff that's really, you know, then that's maybe when you start differentiating yourself. Maybe you use both, you know, Chinese name and your English name, or you put a middle initial, or, you know, hyphenate that's your last name or something to make it stand out. No? Good?
Thank you so much, Lindsay. So on behalf of Wes, we have something for you.
Wow.
Okay. Yes, I know you're not here. I don't know if you can see it.
It's in the middle, so you can see.
Gab, we have something too for you, so we will mail this one to you, okay? I think you can see this one. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for coming, but my kids still be here, it's fine, we have a plenty food. This not working, this one, that's good, and I will also email you the one that I'm here, so I can stop you.
Okay. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.